Star Citizen just got its first jump point to the Pyro system in one of the biggest space stations the game has ever seen. Fans of Star Citizen have been waiting on the second system in the game, Pyro, for a long time. Since 2016 CitizenCon, players were expecting server meshing in multiple systems right around the corner. Obviously, that didn't happen, but today in the PTU servers, for the first time ever, players actually have a built destination marking the point at which they can finally kiss Stanton goodbye and head into the dangerous depths of Pyro. Now, the giant caveat here is that this is not yet a functional transfer point. You can't actually jump to Pyro. As cool as it might be to have a surprise server meshing Pyro patch, we're not quite there yet. But the fact that the jump point is in the PTU now signals a real preparation for the deployment of Pyro, and not just videos showing off the concept. However, speaking of videos showing off the Pyro jump point, the demo from 2019 shows a large ring-style jump point activating and providing entrance into a wormhole. Even the path and traversal process is shown off a bit, so the concept for traveling between systems was already pretty far along 4 years ago. However, the jump point that we're currently able to explore in the PTU now has a lead up of guiding lights, billboards, and markers, but the actual jump gate isn't here. The environment looks very similar, which leads me to believe that it is in fact the same location from 2019, just with a lot more station development and a missing jump gate. I assume the gate is coming as well at some point, but it's also possible that they've redesigned the jump process from not a ring or whatever it was. What is here though, which was not shown in the last demo, is a massive space station, far bigger than any other in the game. The visuals around it are a little funky, as whatever tech they were using to render the nebula is creating visible geometry in space, so it's a little hard to see the whole thing at once unless viewed from the correct angle. Again, this is the PTU, so bugs are very much expected, though it does mess with the overall look and feel and just impressive presentation. That said, I am impressed by the station. It splits off into multiple tendrils and massive fuel pods and cargo pods, a capital class docking port, and tons of giant sized turrets and weapons. Honestly, it looks a lot like how I would expect more of the Leo stations to look like, as those would be major commerce point as well, but it is really cool to see Star Citizen flex a little bit with their stations, since the standard ones have gotten a bit boring. I'm sure Pyro's Ruin Station will be an exciting change of pace if I could just open that jump gate and check it out. The station also appears to be mostly functional, with the facilities up and running, though I don't think you can respawn here yet, even though the medical facilities are technically there. It has 4 main floors, which is different from the other stations in the system, allowing access to hangar and habs, galleria, cargo floor, and refinery all at once. There's personal weapon stores and gear, ship components and ship weapons, basically anything that you might need for just about any adventure seems like it sells here. So this could become a major trading hub station. Plus, with a refinery here, it might suggest that players who prefer to mine in Pyro might just make a beeline for the Stanton jump gate so that they can return to UEE controlled systems to refine in safety. And it's actually kind of a cool element of the lead up to the jump point is indicators that this is the end of UEE jurisdiction. Bring some fuel and some guns, because chances are you're going to need both of them beyond this point. Now, the latest PTU patch is actually labeled as 3.21. Most people were expecting 3.20.1 or something like that, but the reason for going straight to 3.21 is due to them aiming for the first replication layer testing in this patch, or a subset of this patch. This will be the replication network and state shifting to a different server, allowing them to test crash recovery. And when I say crash recovery, I mean the actual server crash recovery. So those pesky 30Ks where the entire server bombs out and everybody has to rejoin the game, well, they might actually be a thing of the past if this replication layer works as intended. This step is also necessary for creating the multi-system universe where all of the different servers are interacting with the replication layer. Now, we don't know exactly when this replication layer test will begin. It's not in the current PTU patch, but it's a pretty big deal, like the persistent entity streaming patch big deal deal, hence actually seeing and testing the Pyro jump point. If this replication layer step actually works, we could be on a fast track to getting Pyro in the game. Of course, any longtime fan will caution you not to get your hopes up about Pyro, since it's one of the longest running game teases at the moment. It's been half a year away for many years now. Now, recent data mining has also revealed Stanton's other 2 jump point locations, one for Terra and one for Magnus. These, as far as I know, will not be used anytime soon, unless CIG has been secretly building them in the background, which I doubt. It looks like Odin and Nyx are actually the next planned systems, with more of a linear traversal between them. Stanton, Star Citizen's current system, is kind of designed as a major trade hub system with a direct connection to Terra and 2 other systems, which is pretty cool, but as far as we know, Terra and Magnus are a pretty long way off if they've even really been designed or started to design at this point at all. However, when it comes to not so far off, CitizenCon, the biggest Star Citizen event of the year, is less than 3 weeks away. Fans are expecting some major reveals and info dumps. A lot of people are anticipating some sort of Squadron 42 reveal news, which would be the single player game tied to Star Citizen, and there's even some interesting, what I would call supporting evidence to potentially back up that claim. High-level backers who have spent over $10,000 in the game. Yes, I know, total insanity. We can get into that in some other video, but regardless, the people who spent 10 grand or more in game received emails with a hint that they would be receiving a legendary birthday gift heading their way on October 10th. In the email was a magic eye, which shows a ship model, and below the ship is text which reads F8C. And it's been advertised for quite a while now that anyone who spends over $10,000 in game will receive the F8C Heavy Fighter as a gift, but it has not been released in the game yet, other than for the AI police or characters to fly around, as I believe CIG has been saving it for Squadron 42's campaign, as it's heavily featured in many of the trailers for the game. However, this email indicating that those high-level backers will finally, and this is after many years of waiting, get that $10,000 reward, it might actually give further evidence that Squadron 42 is in fact nearing a release state. The plan has been to let players who beat Squadron 42's campaign to be able to earn the right to buy the F8C in the persistent universe, so it all kind of ties together around Squadron 42 in one way or another. The F8C and Squadron 42 kind of go hand in hand. At this point, I feel like it's undeniable that October is going to be a pretty big month for fans of Star Citizen. It's just hard to know what level of information and content to expect. I think it could definitely be big. Why save the F8C for all those years and then release it now, unless there's something big tied into it? Sure, it's wishful thinking, but there is an undeniable momentum building right now, and I'm choosing not to ignore it. But what do you guys think? Is all of this just hyping up to more delayed content? Will we see Pyro soon? Is Squadron 42 coming soon? What do you think about the F8C Lightning very soon? Are you upset that you don't have one because you haven't spent $10,000 in this game? And next up, check out this video where Chris Roberts gets candid about some of the major problems in Star Citizen and what they're doing about them. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.